Inner freedom. What Musashi and Sun Tzu can teach you today, the warrior's decisive moment. Have you ever faced your greatest fear, head-on? There comes a moment in every warrior's life and in yours too when they must look death in the eyes without blinking. For Miyamoto Musashi and Sun Tzu, that moment wasn't about ending life. It was about transcending fear. Fascinating, isn't it? These masters discovered that the deepest power comes from detachment, not domination. True freedom doesn't come from escaping death, but from accepting it. Think about it. How many decisions do you make daily based on the fear of failure? How many important conversations do you avoid because you're afraid of rejection? Musashi's radical teaching, "Do not fear death," wrote Musashi in the This was one of his final teachings before his passing, perhaps his most radical one. For Musashi, a warrior's strength didn't reside solely in his sword, but in the clarity of spirit that no longer clung to survival. This isn't a death wish, it's absolute liberation. How would your next work meeting change if you entered without the desperate need for your ideas to be approved? What might happen if you spoke to that special someone without the paralyzing fear of rejection? Sun Tzu's strategy against fear. Sun Tzu never romanticized death. His approach was strategic, not mystical, but he perfectly understood that fear weakens the mind, clouds planning, and breaks rhythm. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles, he wrote. And what is death, if not the ultimate uncertainty? Mastering it means mastering the very edge of the unknown. Detachment. The forgotten superpower. Musashi's battles weren't just with opponents, they were with attachment. He refused titles, he denied luxury, he never settled. Every duel was a meditation, not because he craved death, but because he transcended the need to survive at all costs. Imagine this everyday situation. You enter a negotiation where the other person needs to win ... and you don't. Who has the power? The one who is free. Imagine speaking your truth without needing approval, acting on your vision without attachment to applause, creating your art without clinging to outcomes. This is the warrior's mindset you can apply today. The power of position and the absence of escape. Sun Tzu teaches similar freedom through positioning. Place your army in deadly peril, and it will survive. Place it where there is no escape, and they will fight. This doesn't mean putting yourself in danger, it means removing the option to retreat. When the mind stops searching for escape routes, it focuses. Have you noticed how you perform better when facing an immovable deadline? Or how some people give their best when they're backed against the wall? This is Sun Tzu's wisdom in action in your daily life. Beyond literal death, death, in this context, isn't always literal. It's the fear of endings, the fear of failure, rejection, humiliation. The warrior doesn't deny these fears. They train to move forward despite them. Sun Tzu reminds us, he who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not, will be victorious. This patience isn't built from anxiety, but from inner stillness. Detachment versus indifference. Don't confuse them. Detachment isn't indifference. Musashi was deeply committed to his way, but he understood that attachment clouds action. If you need to win, your strike becomes hesitant. If you need recognition, your art becomes forced. If you need someone's approval, your words lose weight. The warrior's discipline is to let go of need and act from alignment. In which area of your life do you need to practice more detachment today? How to cultivate detachment in the digital age. 1. Redefine detachment. Detachment isn't apathy, it's clarity of focus, free from emotional noise. It means caring deeply, but not clinging, acting boldly, but not desperately. 2. Confront fear. Musashi taught that warriors must visualize death until it no longer controls them. In modern terms, this means facing failure, criticism, discomfort. Run toward what you fear, not to suffer, but to liberate yourself from it. Practical exercise. Identify a fear that limits you and gradually expose yourself to it for 30 days. 3. Limit dependencies. Musashi lived simply. He carried only what he needed. Today, detachment might mean simplifying your routines, stepping away from draining relationships, or reducing your digital noise. Question: what 3 things could you eliminate from your life this week that would give you more mental freedom? 4. Return to breath and body. Musashi was a swordsman, but also a calligrapher, artist, and Zen practitioner. He understood that presence is a physical state. The more grounded you are in your body, the clearer your mind will be. The fluidity of the modern warrior. Detachment also creates flexibility. Musashi wrote that you must not cling to one style. The The way is in strategy, not in technique. When we're detached, we can adapt. If a plan fails, we pivot. If a path closes, we find another. Attachment makes us rigid. Detachment keeps us fluid. In a world changing as rapidly as ours, isn't this flexibility the most valuable skill you can develop? Your true power, this fluidity, is what gives warriors their edge. You cannot predict a free person. You cannot manipulate a leader who doesn't crave validation. You cannot trap a strategist who doesn't fear retreat. True power lies in freedom, not from responsibility, but from obsession. Musashi fought over 60 duels and never lost, but his real victory was over his own fear, over the ego that demands control. By the end of his life, he wrote not about war, but about spirit. His final teaching, respect Buddha and the gods, but do not depend on them. In other words, believe what you will, but never give your power away. The impact of detachment on your life. Detachment leads to focus. Focus leads to precision. Precision leads to impact. Fear scatters the mind. Detachment brings it home. When we act from freedom, we speak more clearly, lead more confidently, create more authentically. We begin to move like warriors, not clinging, not needing. We move with quiet strength. The final invitation: what if you began to live not to avoid death, but to express life more fully? This is Musashi's way, the path of clarity, commitment, and release. This is Sun Tzu's wisdom, the art of timing, preparation, an invisible force. Together, they teach us that to become unstoppable, we must first become detached. To strike without hesitation, we must first make peace with every possible outcome. To lead others, we must first stop being led by fear. And to be truly alive, we must stop being afraid to die. Are you ready to take the first step on this modern warrior's path? Did you like the story? Share with friends who'd enjoy it, and hit subscribe. Wishing you all the best.